And then after that, so this Leela, after this, there is another thing, that interesting thing that happened, that made the Devas go into Shiva Maya. That's interesting. So after the Tripurasuras, they were, after the the Tripurasuras were burnt into ashes, all the Devas were enjoying. And then goddess Parvati Mata, she was beholding this wonderful Leela of Lord Shiva where he defeated the Tripurasuras. Balamanka gatam krutva swayam panchashikam punaha uma jignasa manavai koyamitya bravit suran asuya tascha shakrasya vajrena praharishyataha bahum savajram tam tasya kruddhasyas tambayat prabhu. And then Mahadeva, he disappeared from there, from that scene where Devas were enjoying, and then he became a child and he was sitting in the lap of Parvati Mata as a child. But Devas were not able to recognize, they were enjoying, they were completely in Ahankara. See, this is the problem. We saw in Kena Upanishad also, the Devas defeated the Asuras, and that was by the grace of Lord Shiva. They were trembling and frightened in the churning of the Milky Ocean. During the churning of the Milky Ocean, they were trembling and frightened on who will get the Amrita, whether we will get the Amrita or whether the Amrita will go to Asuras. They were trembling. And then first the Hala poison came. That is another interesting thing. Only after Mahadeva drank the Hala poison, only then all the Devas, Narayana got Lakshmi, and then Indra got Uchchaishravas, and then both the Devas and Danavas got many angels, and then they got the Amrita. It was Mahadeva who drank the Hala poison, which destroyed the entire universe, including Brahmalokam and Vaikuntham. Only after he drank the Hala poison, they got that Amrita. That's an interesting point to be noted. So there also, if you see, after drinking after they had the Amrita, and then they were dancing in Ahankara. Oh, no one can defeat us. We are the supreme. And then Mahadeva comes as Yaksha. The Kena Upanishad says, Mahadeva comes as Yaksha, and then he has a, small blade of grass in his hand. And then, if you are capable, if you say that you are the supreme, if you could move this grass, move this blade of a grass, then I would accept that you are the supreme. This is a small task. That's what everybody thought. Okay, fine. And then Indra was bound by Ahankara, and then he said, okay, fine, I don't do these small tasks. I will employ my, either Agni or Vayu will go. So first Agni goes and he tries with his powers. He was not able to do anything. And then Vayu comes. Vayu is also not able to do anything. And then Indra comes. He is also not able to do anything. And then he is confused. Who is this divine personality? And then Mahadeva disappears. And then Parashakti comes, 3rd chapter, 12th verse. Umam Haimavatim. She comes to, give knowledge to this Ahankari. Ahankara, the Devas who are bound by Ahankara. This very beautifully is told in the Shiva Purana and Skanda Purana. The reason I quoted this is that, we see the attitude of the Devas. So even the Devas are not, are bound by the Shiva Maya. No one can escape Shiva Maya. That's why I quoted this. And here also we see the same thing. Mahadeva, when he is sitting on the lap of Parashakti Mata, Indra was confused. Who was this personality? They were dancing in Ahankara, and then Indra, he raised his thunderbolt to kill this child. Who is this, naughty child? Who is this nonsense child? He raises his thunderbolt to kill this. That's how Vyasacharya says, Bahum sa vajram tam tasya. He raised his thunderbolt, vajram, bahum, with his hand to kill the child. So here we see the attitude of the Devas are also like they are bound by Ahankara. They are like always in fright. Okay, my position is going to go. And then when they get back their position, when the Asuras are destroyed, they dance in Ahankara. But a Shiva Bhakta is not like that. A Shiva Bhakta is not aspiring for the positions of Brahma, Narayana and Indra. He eternally wants to serve the lotus feet of Parashakti and Paramashiva. I want to be your eternal Das. That's the attitude of a Shiva Bhakta. So everybody, to quote an example, The Panchabrahma Upanishad says, Adavantecha madhyecha basase nanya hetuna mayaya mohitaha shambhor mahadevam jagadgurum na jananti suraha sarve sarva karana karanam. Na sandrishe tishtati rupamasya paratparam purusham vishwadama. The Maya of that Paratpara Shambhu, even the Devas cannot cross that Maya Shakti. Only by surrendering to Mahadeva they can cross. And Shiva Purana, Rudra Samhita, Parvati Kanda, chapters 44 and 45, Menavati, the mother of Parvati Mata, she also was bound by Ahankara. Because Parvati Mata was decided, if I have to marry, it's only Mahadeva. And then Menavati was also bound by the Shiva Maya. Okay, Shiva, she had the vision of Lord Shiva from, from distance. He was coming, he was approaching, and then Shiva purposely puts Menavati into Maya. And then Mahadeva was posing an ugly-faced personality. He was posing himself as an ugly person. And then Menavati was shocked completely, and then she fell down. And then she went to Parvati and then she said, oh, you rejected everybody. You said Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, Munayor, Janma, Mrityu, Jaraditaha. All the sages and Brahma and Vishnu and Indra are bound to destruction, whereas you said you wanted to marry the imperishable Mahadeva. Now you go and see how Mahadeva is looking like. You wanted to marry this guy. You rejected Brahma and Vishnu and Indra and you wanted to marry this guy. Menavati asks to Parvati. And then all of them, enlighten her, Vishnu and Narada and Himavat, the father of Parvati Mata. They enlighten Menavati. Oh no, you don't know the real form of Lord Shiva. Mahadeva is Sundareshwara, Sundarapati, Sundaramukha, Sundaranayana, Sundaranatha, Madhuka Lochana. His eyes are like honey. He is the Lord of beauty. You have not seen the real form of Lord Shiva. You are in Shiva Maya. Vishnu and Indra, that is Vishnu and Narada Muni, enlightens Menavati Mata. And even the Devas are in Ahankara. We saw Indra, and Brahma was bound by the Shiva Maya, and then his Ahankara was destroyed by Kala Bhairava, who is an Amsha of Lord Shiva. Kala Bhairava is an Amsha of Lord Shiva, not Mahadeva himself. And then Agnistambha episode where Mahadeva crushes the ego of Brahma and Vishnu. Mahadeva did not say that he is the supreme reality. He was not arguing like Brahma and Vishnu. Brahma claimed I am the supreme. Vishnu claimed I am the supreme. But Mahadeva did not say that. Mahadeva proved that he was the supreme reality by showing his infinite form. He destroyed the ego of Brahma and Vishnu. Shankara Samhita Veera Mahindra Kandam, chapter 2, sloka 41-42. Matsya Kurma Varahamscha Narasimha Trivikramau Hatva Netrecha Meenasya Kamatasyasti Karkasham Varahasya cha Damshtracha Nrisimhasya Tvacham Tata Trivikramasya Prashtasti Grihitvaiva Puravayam. Now, whenever Vishnu took the avatar, he was bound by Ahankara. So, Mahadeva destroyed Matsya's Ahankara by pulling the eyes of Matsya, by pulling the shell of Kurma, by breaking the tusk of Varaha, by tearing the skin of Narasimha, by breaking the backbone of Vamana. Krittivasa, Mahadeva is described as wearing the skin of Narasimha as a garment, which comes in the Vedas, Krishna Yajurvedam, Taittiriya Samhita, 1st canto, 8th chapter, 6th verse. So the reason I was quoting these things is everybody are bound by Shiva Maya. The Devas are also bound by Shiva Maya. And here we see Shakra, that is Indra. He was dancing, until then he was, until the Tripurasuras were there, he was begging to Mahadeva. Everybody, including Brahma and Vishnu, they were begging. And then, specifically Indra. And then when they got defeated, and then he was bound by Ahankara. Okay, everything is by my grace. Everything has happened by my grace. So this is the example of Ahankara, ego. Prahasya Bhagavam Sturnam Sarvalokeshvaro Vibhuhu Tataksa Stambita Bhujaha Shakro Deva Ganairvritaha Jagama Sasurasturnam Brahmanam Prabhumavyayam Tetam Pranamya Shirasa Prochuk Pranjala Yastada Kimapyankada Kimapyanka Gatam Brahman Parvatya Bhutamadbhutam Balarupa Dharam Drishtva Nasmabir Abhilakshitaha. Then the god Mahadeva, who was sitting who was sitting in the lap of Parvati Mata as a small child, and he took that form to pacify, for the pleasure of Parvati Mata. The Devatas did not realize that. And then Shakra, then he raised his arm, right? His arm was actually, raised as it is. He was not able to move his arm after that. His arm became paralyzed, just like Vyasa's arm became paralyzed when he was trying to do his Achamanam in Kashi. Nandi paralyzed his arms. Here Mahadeva paralyzed the arms of Shakra. And then they went to Brahma of unfading glory. And then Brahma, they bowed to Brahma, and then Brahma said, we saw a divine personality lying in the lap of Parvati Mata. And they were not, that child was not saluting us. And we have all been vanquished completely by him. And then Brahma, after hearing that, because here also if you see Adbhutam, the word Adbhutam is used for Lord Shiva, the child Lord Shiva who is sitting in the lap of Parvati Mata. Chidananda Rupam Arupam Adbhutam, Kaivalya Upanishad uses the word. His form itself is full of surprise, awe and reverence, completely with your hairs will stand on end when you experience the divine form of Lord Shiva. Tesham tad vachanam shrutva brahma vidam varaha dyatvasa shambhum bhagavan balam chamita tejasam uvacha bhagavan brahma shakradimscha surottamam characharasya jagataha prabhuhu sa bhagavan haraha tasmat parataram nanyat kinchidasti maheshwara yodrishtva hyo umaya sardham yushmabi rabitadyutihi. And then Brahma says, you have seen none other than Maheshwara. Chara Achara. He is the Lord of the mobile and the immobile. He is the Lord of the entire universe. Oh Devas. He is Sura Uttama. He is the Shreshta. He is the Jeshta. He is the oldest and he is the best of all. He is the greatest of all. You have seen none other than Bhagavan Hara. The Bhagavan Hara. Hara is referring to Lord Shiva, who removes all the sins. That's why he is called as Hara. Bhagavan Hara. Bhagavan is Lord Shiva. Bhagavatas are the devotees of Lord Shiva. So Bhagavan Haraha. And then he mentions Tasmat Parataram Nanyat. There is nothing that is greater than him. That's what he says. There is nothing that is greater than him, which is confirmed with the Shvetashvatara Upanishad and Mahanarayana Upanishad. Yasmat Param Na Paramasti Kinchid Yasmannani Yonadhyayosti Kaschid. Yasmat Parataram. There is nothing. Parataram. There is nothing that is greater than him. That's what Brahma also says. Nanyat kinchit asti Maheshwara. There is nothing that is greater than Maheshwara. Yodrishtva hvo umaya sardham yushmabir abhitadyutihi. He takes this. He does this activity for the pleasure of Uma Mata. And then so let us all go to him. Brahma says, Sa Esha Bhagavan Devak Sarvalokeshwarah Prabhu. He is the Sarvalokeshwara. He is the Lord of all the worlds and all the universes, millions and millions of universes, and he is Prabhu. He is the ultimate Lord. Nasam Vubudire Chainam Devastam Bhuvaneshwaram. Let us all go and surrender to him again. Sa Prajapatayaha Sarve Balarka Sadrisha Prabham Athabhyetya Tato Brahma Drishtvasa Cha Maheshwaram Ayam Shreshta Iti Jnatva Vavandetam Pitamaha. And then all the gods, all the Devatas, along with Brahma, they went, and then beholding Maheshwara sitting in the lap of Parvati Mata, they adored, they glorified Lord Shiva. Brahmovacha, along with all the Devas. Brahmovacha, Tvam Yajno Bhuvanasyasya, Tvam Gatistvam Parayanam, Tvam Bhavastvam Mahadevas, Tvam Dhama Paramam Padam, Tvaya Sarvamidam Vyaptam जगत्तावर जंगमम भगवन् भूत भव्येश लोकनाथ जगत्पते प्रसादं कुरु शक्रस्य त्वया क्रोधार्दितस्य वै त्वं यज्ञो you are the form of sacrifice. You are the lord of sacrifice, you are the king of sacrifice. Avo rajanamadvarasya. And then bhuvanasyasya, you are that refuge of the universe, you are the ultimate refuge of the entire bhuvana. Tvam gati, you are the ultimate gati. Lingameva param jnanam, lingameva param tapaha, lingameva paro dharmo, lingameva paragatihi, tasmal lingat parataram yaccha kinchinna vidyate. Maheshwara Kandam, Kedara Kandam, chapter 10, verse 62. After everything was destroyed, even Vaikuntha and Brahmaloka was destroyed by the halahala poison. Everybody, all the Devatas, including Brahma and Narayana, they go and seek the feet of Mahadeva. They pray to Lord Shiva, who is in the heart of who is in the heart of all the living entities and all the Devas. Devanagam Kritagebhyo. Lingameva Paramjnanam. Knowledge about you is the highest, O Mahadeva. There is nothing that is greater than you. Lingameva Paragatihi. You are the ultimate Gati. And you are the ultimate Dharma. And you are the ultimate penance. Meditating on the form of Parashakti and Paramashiva is the supreme. Tasmal lingat parataram yaccha kinchinna vidyate. There is nothing that is greater than Mahadeva, Shiva Linga, that is Parashakti and Paramashiva. Parayanam, Tvam Parayanam, Parayanam, Shiva Nama Parayanam should be done. Parayanam. So like one should always keep chanting the names of Lord Shiva. Tvam Bhava. Bhava means the cause of creation. Namo Bhavaya cha Rudraya cha Namak. Fifth Anuvakam says. Tvam Mahadeva. Mahadeva is a very unique epithet. Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi. Tanno Rudrah Prachodayat. Mahadeva comes there in the Mahanarayana Upanishad, in the Gayatri Mantram. It also comes in the Atharvashika Upanishad, Atharvashiras Upanishad. Very specific epithet. Shankara, Shambhu, Shiva, Ishana, Isha, Rudra, Mahadeva. These 7 names are very, very important, which comes very often in the Vedas and Upanishads. Rudram also has these names. Except for Mahadeva, all the names come in Rudram. Mahadeva word comes very often. And speaking of this, I remember one thing in Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Krishna says, Mahadeveti, Mahadeveti, Mahadeveti Vadinaha. One who chants the names of Mahadeva, I start going behind his feet, his or her feet. One who chants the names of Mahadeva, one who keeps chanting the name of Mahadeva, 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 I start, going behind their feet and I start serving them. Krishna says that. So Mahadeva, the word Mahadeva is a very used word, very important word. That comes in the Puranas for Lord Shiva. And then Tvam Dama Paramam Padam. The place where you are is that Paramapadam. Paratparam. Mahadeva is greatest of the greatest. Paratparam. Paraat Parataro Brahma. Tatparaat Parato Harihi. Tatparaat Parato Ishas Tanme Manashiva Sankalpamastu. Tvam Dama Paramam Padam. Brahma says to Mahadeva. And this is recounted by Vyasa to Arjuna. Okay. So, your place, Tvam Dama, your place is that supreme place. Paramam Padam, Paratpara Padam. Tvaya Sarvamidam Vyaptam, you are all pervading, you are pervading the entire universe. Sarvo Vai Rudras Tasmai Rudraya Namo Asto Purusho Vai Rudras Sanmaho Namo Namaha. Vishwam Bhutam Bhuvanam Chitram Bahuda Jatam Jayamanam Chayat Sarvo Hyesha Rudras Tasmai Rudraya Namo Asto Kad Rudraya Prachetase Midushtama Yatavyase Voche Mashantamagam Krite Sarvo Hyesha Rudras Tasmai Rudraya Namo Asto. Sarvo Vai Rudraha, Sarvo Hyesha Rudraha comes 3 times in the Mahanarayana Upanishad. Just like Shvetashvatara Upanishad, the name Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Maharshi is glorifying Lord Shiva. Just like that, Mahanarayana Upanishad doesn't mean it refers to Narayana. Narayana meditates on the divine, ultimate Purusha, Paratpara Purusha, Mahadeva. So it is named after the Rishi. So Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Rishi, Maharshi enlightens about Lord Shiva. Narayana Upanishad, where Narayana enlightens about Lord Shiva. So Sarvo Vairudraha is spoken of. Tvam Vaya Sarvamidam Vyaptam Jagat Stavara Jangamam. You pervade all the mobile and immobile creatures, and you are the in charge. Vishwadiko Rudro Maharshihi. You are in charge of them. Everything is under your control. Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavyesha. You know the past, present and future. Lokanatha. You are the Lord of the entire universe. Nath means Lord. Loka means world. And you are the Lord of the entire universe, including, from the blade of a grass till Parakailasha, Brahmaloka, Goloka, Indraloka, Devi Loka, Vaikunta, Skandaloka. You are the ultimate Lord of all these worlds. Jagatpate, you are the Lord of the universe. Jagatpati, Jagataha Pitaro Vande, Parvati Parameshwaro. Kalidasa starts off his Kumara Sambhavam with this verse. Prasadam Kurushakrasya Tvaya Krodardi Tasya Vai. Oh, Mahadeva, you have paralyzed the hands of Shakra, that is Indra. Please, remove that, And then Vyasa Uvacha. Padmayoni Vachak Shrutva Tatak Prito Maheshwaraha Prasada Bimukho Bhutva Attahasam Ata Karot. Tatak prasada yamasu rumam rudram chate suraha abhavaccha punarbahur yata prakriti vajrinaha. And then Maheshwara, after hearing the stuti of all the devas along with Brahma, he was gratified, he was completely satisfied. And then he blessed Indra, and then both Parashakti and Paramashiva, they blessed Indra, and then Indra's arm got back to normal state. So like that, this is like there are even more like 58 verses in this Drona Parva chapter, but I would like to end here because there are even more beautiful names that Vyasacharya recites for Lord Shiva. We'll be seeing that, and he connects Shatarudriyam, which is quite important. He mentions about Shatarudriyam, which is an hymn only for Lord Shiva. It cannot be applied to any other Devata. Demigods like Brahma and Vishnu cannot, it cannot be applied. So he mentions about Shatarudriyam in the later verses. So this is about, where Vyasa enlightens Arjuna that, "O Arjuna, you have seen none other than Mahadeva who has favored you in this war. He appeared as Kala." With this only Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter 33rd verse, Kalosmi. Mahadeva says, Kalosmi, I am Kala. He shows his Vishwarupa to Arjuna. Mahadeva shows the Vishwarupa. Drishtavanasi tam devam Vishvaksham Vishvatomukam Pratyakshameva Sarvesham Rudram Sarva Jaganmayam Jnanam Tat Aishwaram Divyam Yatavat Viditam Tvaya Swayameva Krishikeshak Prityovacha Sanatanaha. Kurma Puranam, 1st canto, 30th chapter, 60th and 61st verse. Oh Arjuna, you have seen none other than the Vishwarupa of Lord Shiva, and Krishikesha came as Guru. So 11th chapter 33rd verse of Bhagavad Gita, Kalosmi, it is actually Mahadeva saying to Arjuna, Kalosmi, I am Kala who have come here to destroy Drona, Karna and all the and Bhishma and all the soldiers in the Pandavas and the Kauravas side. And that's why you see finally no one remains apart from the Pancha Pandavas, Krishna, and then I think Kritavarma. Satyaki. Kritavarma was on the side of the Kauravas. Satyaki. So only these 7 people remained on the Pandavas side. And Kauravas side we had Duryodhana. Duryodhana also died finally. And then Kritavarma was there. Ashwatthama was there. So, that's why you see all the soldiers, have come here to defeat all the soldiers, on both the side of the battle, and also, kill Drona, Bhishma, Karna, etc. So it was he who actually played a role. Mahadeva was the key role, in the Mahahbharata war, who defeated all the enemies of Krishna and Arjuna. So Vyasacharya enlightens by saying, and then he starts talking about the divine characteristics of Lord Shiva. How is he? How does he look like? What are his names? And what is his form that the Vedas glorify? And then he goes on to talk about the Leelas, Dakshayagnya Leela, Tripurasura Leela, and then where the Devas are bound by the Maya of Lord Shiva, where Mahadeva appears as a child and sits on the lap of Parvati Mata, and then he puts the Devas into Maya. So, and then he goes on. These are like, I've completed 100 verses till now, and there are like 58 more verses. We'll be seeing that next week, and we'll be ending the Drona Parva episode next week. And as I said before, I have stated in my previous lectures also about this specific piece, which is quite important, very important for a Shiva Bhakta to know, because everything is connected to Lord Shiva. Nowadays, if you see the serials and all, they say that everything happened by the grace of Krishna and everything, but the Shastras, the scriptures authenticate by whose grace that the Mahabharata war was won by the Pandavas. Shastras authenticate it was by the grace of Lord Shiva that Krishna and Pandavas were able to win the war. Narayana obtained a boon by meditating on Lord Shiva for 200,000 years, standing on one leg with his hands upraised. So it's a very, very important piece that one should read. And interestingly, okay, fine, there is another thing that, because there is a question that usually raised by the people that, okay, whether this part of Mahabharata is authentic, right? So the Upamanyu episode, in the beginning of the Upamanyu episode itself, I would have stated that Kshemendra, various personalities have authenticated this episode, this piece of Mahabharata in their works. And likewise, this piece, this Drona Parva episode has been authenticated even by Bhatta Bhaskara. He quotes a verse specifically, which we'll be seeing next class, because it is coming in the later half of the last episode of the last few verses where Vyasacharya glorifies Lord Shiva to Arjuna. So he brings in a verse for Namah Shivaya in Rudram, Shamkaraya cha Mayaskaraya cha Namah Shivaya cha Shivataraya cha. For Namah Shivaya, which comes in the center of Rudram, for giving a commentary to that Namah Shivaya, he quotes Shiva Ekodhyayaha, which comes in the Atharvashika Upanishad. And also he quotes the 202nd chapter, 131st verse of Drona Parvam, because Shivaha, this name is attributed by Vyasacharya to Lord Shiva, and he says that to Arjuna. Why is he called Shiva? He explains to Arjuna. And he quotes that verse from Drona Parva. So Bhatta Bhaskara, 5th century person, has authenticated this piece of Drona Parvam. So very, very important, which connects everything to Lord Shiva, which connects Bhagavad Gita to Lord Shiva, which connects the entire Mahabharata war with Lord Shiva. So very, very important piece for every Shiva Bhakta to know. So with that said, we'll be continuing the next 58 verses next week. I'll be completing this Drona Parva episode next week. Saturday, Sunday, there will be classes, usually 9 to 10, probably 9 o'clock. We'll be starting the lecture. I'll be sending out the Google Meet links. It's the same Google Meet link, but I'll be sending out as a reminder. Thank you for supporting me, and I'll be chanting the Shiva Prarthana mantra, and then we can take up some questions. Om Yadakshara Padabrushtam Matra Hinam Tu Yad Bhavet Tat Sarvam Shamyatam Deva Parameshwara Namostu Te Visarga Bindu Matrani Padapadaksharaani Cha Nyunani Cha Tiriktani Kshamasva Parameshwara Aparata Sagasrani Kriyante Harnisham Mayata Soyimiti Mam Matva Kshamasva Parameshwara Anyata Sharanam Nasti Tvameva Sharanam Mama Tasmat Karanya Bhavena Raksha Raksha Parameshwari Anyata Sharanam Nasti Tvameva Sharanam Mama Tasmat Karanya Bhavena Raksha Raksha Parameshwara Etat Sarvam Shri Uma Maheshwara Parabrahmarpanamastu Lalitambike Samba Shivarpanamastu Shrimati Gauri Sameta Samba Shivarpanamastu Shrimati Gayatri Sameta Samba Shivarpanamastu Karacharana Kritam Vakaya Jam Karma Jamba Shravananayana Jamba Manasamba Paradam Vihitam Avihitam Va Sarvam Etat Kshamasva Jai Jai Karunabde Shri Mahadeva Shambho Mata Cha Parvati Devi Pita Devo Maheshwara Bandava Shiva Bhaktamscha Swadesho Bhuvanatrayam Samba Shivaya Namaha Samba Shivaya Namaha Samba Shivaya Namaha Haravom Tat Sat